Welcome to Silicon Valley Nonprofits, a service of KMVT Community Media. I'm Bev Lenahan, your host. Our guest today is Kim Koper, President of, Executive Director of the Mountain View Public Safety Foundation. Thank you for coming today, Kim. It's a great pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much, Bev, for having me.
Pleasure. Well, I understand the foundation is fairly new and that you've come about a great need and a purpose. So tell us a little bit about the formation of the foundation and what you're doing.
Oh, fantastic. So it's the Mountain View Public Safety Foundation, and it actually is very new. We just got our 501c3 last year, and it came about actually from two gentlemen in the community, both Mountain View residents, one of which was actually born at El Camino Hospital, so he's got a long time history with the city. They identified a program for police officer training that was happening on the East Coast. And they thought, wouldn't that be neat to bring to Mountain View? So they approached the chief of police, and at the time learned the process to bring this training was quite extensive. And yet it was something that the police department really welcomed and thought would be something they would really like for their officers to have. So the short story is, in order to do this in the future, they formed a foundation so that they could find the needs that are in the community and be able to bring them to our police and fire.
Very good. And often it'll take a need like that sort of brings about these sort of opportunities. So you started with a board. What kind of representation did you get on your board?
Oh, great representation, actually. And we have advisors on our board that are actually the chief of police and the chief of fire. But beyond that, they're not in a voting role. We have individuals who are retired from the police and fire, those who have been on city council in the past, just members of the community, anybody who wants to participate and has been active in the community are currently on our board.
I think that's the secret. They know a lot about how everything functions and what some of the basic needs are, and they can really make it much easier to get to that solution, right? Whatever that is. Well, we know a foundation primarily is empowered and enabled to fundraise, right? So tell us a little bit about some of the funds that you're raising money for, some of your initiatives and how they came about.
Great. So this is not in any way to replace a budget for both the police and fire department, what the city has. But there
never
are
enough.
Right, there's never enough. So true. There's never enough. There are some needs that we would like to be able to meet, and we don't have the budget to do that. So an example would be our lockdown kits, which is a program that we're currently doing right now to bring a kit for each classroom in all of Mountain View. And this kit is something that would reside in the classroom to allow the children to be comfortable in the event that the classroom does go on lockdown. Now, of course, we also know we have earthquakes and fire prevention and that type of thing. That also will help. There's some basic things that would be helpful in those kits. But
wasn't there something just recently?
As a matter of fact, this very week, as I was getting ready to send out an email about when our next board meeting is going to be, there was a lockdown at Castro Elementary School.
Oh my goodness, how scary.
Indeed. So there was someone who was near the school or crossing through the school, and they felt that need to have the safety and security of the students, so they did a lockdown. And as of yet, those classrooms don't have our lockdown kits.
Oh my
goodness. So that's our goal.
So that's the raising the money part. So tell us about these kits. I'm not familiar with them. What would be in a typical kit?
You know, it's actually a kit is not very big, and it's a round container, but inside of it you have some things. Think about comfort for our children. When you're a parent who knows that your child is at school and they need to be, you worry about their comfort and safety. In the event that the classroom is locked and they can't leave for a period of minutes or hours, there's the ability to have it act as a toilet. To actually, we also have water and some food and rations and various things to keep them warm and comfortable, so that they don't need to leave the classroom.
And that also makes the anxiety go down a little bit too, both for the students and, of course, the parents.
Indeed. And when we utilize the knowledge from our retired police and fire and those who've been in the field who say, we want to be able to provide this service where the parents feel comfortable and where they can rest assured that we're doing all we can for their children. They brought that to us. That was one of the ideas that was brought to us, and we found some funding to be able to start the process of getting those.
How many schools?
Well, it's going to be in all of Mountain View. So it's going to be elementary, junior high, high school, public and private.
But numbering about how many schools?
Oh my goodness. Now you got me there. Exactly the quantity of schools. I do know that we have just put 115 of these lockdown kits in the Mountain View Wisman Elementary School District.
Oh my gosh.
Starting with the Crittenton and Therakoff Elementary School. And that just happened on December 10th.
Oh, very good.
Yes.
So what would one of these kits cost?
They're approximately $64, $65 a kit. And we're still, quite frankly, in the discovery phases to just how many classrooms, because there are some Montessori schools, there are private schools, indeed, and so we're continuing to get that information from the district so that we can make sure it's going to be in each and every school.
But what you want to do as a foundation is keep ahead of that and be raising money so that you can fill that need.
Indeed.
I think that's so very important. What other kinds of initiatives might come before you that there's a need expressed and you have to figure out the best way to raise money for it? Give me another example.
Well, another example is that we would like to do some rape prevention. The ability to do that would require that we have some police who are trained, some police officers who are trained to be able to assist in that, and there aren't funds available for it. And this is what we're looking to do, is offer this to anyone, man or woman or child, who will be able to come to this program and not have to pay any fees and do that type of, get that kind of training.
Empower the community, really.
Indeed.
So all of that pressure is not just on our public safety people, but also on the community residents to feel like they can take responsibility too and feel comfortable. That makes a lot of sense. So is there a training that you've identified?
We are in the process of going through a process of getting the approvals and various things. And as you can well imagine, when you're dealing with the city, there are certain kind of steps that we have to go through. And protocol, indeed.
Sure.
So when we have our meetings, what's great about it is that these opportunities come to us that they hear about, and then we start the process of ensuring that we talk to the appropriate people to get the approvals. Right now, that is moving forward for 2016, but we're still working on what we just came off of with the lockdown kits and hoping to continue getting funding to make sure the rest of those get into the classrooms, and then we'll move into doing the rape prevention.
I remember working with the San Jose Police Foundation when they got started, and one of our interesting interchanges was figuring out how to determine what the priorities were and also to make sure that we understood the need enough so that we could go out and do the fundraising. So I'm sure that's what your board is working on now as well.
Indeed. And we welcome members of the community who feel that there's a need that perhaps needs to be brought to our attention, because we're not just here to service the police. We're here to service the community and make Mountain View a safer and secure and nicer place to live and work and visit. And I'm sure there are plenty of great ideas out there. If someone thinks, gosh, let me see if this would be the foundation to do it for me, and they're welcome to come to our meetings and put forth their ideas.
So they're open meetings. That's good. That's great. So I'm sure there are several ways to get a hold of you and to help, whether expressing a need or being willing to donate. So tell us a little bit about those, Kim.
Well, the website is www.mvpsf.org. So it's the acronym for Mountain View Public Safety.org. When you arrive at the website, you'll notice, I believe it's on the far right, in the top third of the page, where there is a button for donating.
Those donate buttons.
I know, we love those.
We do.
So there's an opportunity there to do a direct donation. There's also an opportunity to reach out to any of the board members.
Oh, good.
I bet you any community member, any resident in Mountain View will recognize at least somebody on that board if they wanted to, reach out to someone they're familiar with or send a note out to the board of directors, and we'd be happy to speak with them.
Very good. Now, specifically your role as an executive director, so there's governance with regard to a foundation. then there's also that liaisoning role with the elected officials and other people in the community. I understand you have a full-time job too, so
Yes.
this must be a real passion for you.
It is indeed a real passion. As a matter of fact, my father was a police officer and my mother was a police dispatcher. And I grew up in a household that I knew what it meant to have somebody who's working the graveyard shift or the swing shift, but with intention of, you know, working hard to make a community a better and safer place.
These nonprofit opportunities that we take advantage of, they're always personal, aren't they?
They are.
Yes.
They are.
So remind us again of the website.
It's mvpsf.org.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Kim, for being with us today. You've been a delight.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.